Hello and welcome to Curriculum and Beyond, your place for smart learning and easy understanding. Whether you're a student, teacher, or researcher, this channel is for you. We explain difficult topics with real life examples and go beyond the textbooks. Welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and enjoy learning.
Listeners, once more I welcome you to our series on research methods. My name is John Odili. I'm a professor of educational research, measurement, and evaluation. In our current presentation, we want to look at the meaning of variables. Now, variables are human attributes which are not the same from one person to another. There are different types of variables. I will list them. Independent variable, dependent variable, moderator variable, mediator variable, intervening variable. We also have continuous variable and dichotomous variable. The last one is control variable. We will spend some time to explain each of these variables. Now, the independent variable in research is the variable that is manipulated. For those of you who are in science, let's use the example of soil. Soil is a variable. It can be manipulated by presenting soil in two different forms or more. You can have loamy soil, you can have sandy soil, you can have clay soil. These are the various types or variables concerning soil. Now, for us who are teachers, independent variable can be teaching methods, and examples could be lecture method and demonstration method. Now, when we treat an object in one or two of these methods of teaching, we are said to be manipulating the variable types of teaching. For those in biology, when you use two or more types of soil to plant the same kind of seedling, you are said to be manipulating the variable soil types. The second type of variable we mentioned earlier is dependent variable. This is the outcome of manipulation of the independent variable. For example, when you have two groups of students and you manipulate them by teaching with two types of teaching method, group A, lecture method, group B, discussion method, you want to find out the effect on students' achievement in biology, for example. That achievement in biology is what we refer to as dependent variable. It is the outcome of manipulation of the independent variable. We look at the meaning of moderator variable. Moderator variable. Now, these are physical characteristics of the individual which will affect the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. For instance, we said that when you teach students with lecture method and teach another group with discussion method, you want to find out whether the performance of the students will differ based on these two methods.
Hi there. Just in case you have any question, kindly drop them in the comment section and we will respond as soon as possible. Keep learning.
Now you will agree with me that when you teach students, the outcome is not only based on the method of teaching. Some other factors can affect students' performance beyond the method of teaching. For example, students' interest. The other could be the age of the learner. It can also be due to his sitting position. Now, all this you can see with your eyes among the learners. For example, you can see a learner who is very tall and another who is not as tall as the other. This kind of variable is called moderator variables. Let me use another example. Gender. You can see a man, a girl, a female student different from a male student. Now, if you had looked at it that students' gender can influence the independent variable, then gender becomes a moderator variable. Remember that you can see them physically. Other examples of moderator variable is local government of origin, whether it is urban or rural. All this you can easily find out from the students. Now, the other one is the mediator variable. Mediator variable. I want to talk about mediator variable because it is very similar to moderator variable. Whereas moderator variables are physical attributes, mediator variables are constructs. They are not observable in the research subject. For example, if you are looking at effect of teaching method on students' performance in biology, you will agree that apart from gender of the students, which is capable of affecting their performance, other variables such as motivation of the student or his interest can also affect the performance with the teaching method. Now, this other variable I mentioned, which is like the student interest or motivation, you cannot observe them in the student physically. The reason is because they are called constructs. So mediator variables are constructs. They are not observable among research subjects. You use questionnaire to find them out. So when you carry out research in which mediator variables are used, you will need a questionnaire to add to the instruments you use to collect your dependent variable outcome in order to establish whether the student has high or low interest, high or low motivation as it affects students' performance in the learning process. Now we go again to look at intervening variable. They are variables that can affect the outcome of interaction between the independent variable and dependent variable. But in this case, you did not study them in your current research. Now, when you carry out a research design in which you represent your design diagrammatically, these intervening variables are shown in dotted lines, which means that it is capable of affecting this relationship, but you are not studying them in your present investigation. Now, continuous variable. It is used to describe data which are collected using interval or ratio scales. Examples are test scores, data on interest, aptitude, and so on. Let me throw more light on this. For example, if you have data that are presented in the form of 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. You see, this set of data, they are continuous. There is no breakage at any point. Such data are described as continuous variables. Now, closely related to continuous variable is what we call dichotomous variable. Dichotomous variable is such variables that there is a clear demarcation between one level of the variable and the other. For example, when you have questionnaire, which response option is showing yes or no, the data collected from such questionnaire is described as dichotomous variables because there is a clear demarcation between yes and no. We want to also look at control variable. Control variable. When you carry out research, especially experimental research, you normally would have a yardstick with which you will compare to show that what you have done in the research treatment condition is responsible for the observation you made. Let's come to this. If you are carrying out experiments on teaching method and you will say that demonstration method of teaching is going to be very effective in bringing about students' performance in biology. Now you need a control, something you use to compare whether this is actually responsible, that's your observation is actually as a result of the use of your teaching method. So if I have demonstration method as my independent variable, then the control variable will be its lecture method. I will use the outcome of lecture method to compare with the outcome of demonstration method. If the demonstration method is better, then compared with lecture method, we'll say demonstration method is a more effective method of teaching biology. Now, the one we used as a basis for comparison is one we call control variable. This brings us to the end of our discussion on types of variables in research.
Thanks for watching Curriculum and Beyond, the online campus. If you learned something today, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we have something new.